Readers of mine know that for years I've been saying Sony really screwed up by loaning Spider-Man back to Marvel Studios after a pair of okay-ish Amazing Spider-Man movies with Andrew Garfield. Ultimately, it's a deal that has worked out for both sides, and Sony seemed to be set up pretty nicely following the success of Venom in 2018. The delightfully weird superhero comedy was more of a buddy comedy that gave Tom Hardy the chance to show his lighthearted side, something he hadn't often done. But the sequel, Let There Be Carnage, wastes an iconic Marvel villain with an atrocious story, and the box office plummeted as a result. Morbius and Madam Web turned out to be embarrassing flops too, with a pretty dire outlook for Kraven the Hunter. Now, with Venom The Last Dance bringing the franchise to a close, the bar's been lowered enough it's excusable that it's not very good either, because at least it has the balls to be off-the-chain nutty, a goopy send-off to the oddest couple in all of Marvel. The Venom movies have gotten progressively crazier as Hardy has become more involved on the creative side. It's like Hardy looked at the first film, scratched his chin and thought, why so serious? The Last Dance is a barrage of human to symbiote banter and bizarre visual gags. Your mileage will depend on how funny you find the exchanges between Hardy's Eddie Brock and the head-chomping, chocolate-loving, dancing symbiote nutjob Venom. Based on a story by Hardy and screenwriter Kelly Marcel, who takes the sole writing credit and makes her directorial debut, the film benefits from a relatively brief runtime and acceptance of its lowbrow nature. These movies have never felt overly serious or part of some larger cinematic universe that needs to be fed. Being able to sit back and indulge in the goofiness and what the fuck antics goes a long way. Needlessly, the film begins with Eddie and Venom still stuck in the multiverse, good god, after one of the worst post-credit scenes ever in Let There Be Carnage. Fortunately, they're only there long enough to confuse the poor bartender, played by returning actor Cristo Fernandez, and upon returning, they immediately get into enough trouble to become fugitives from the law. We're made aware, through some pretty clunky exposition, that their death in the first movie has triggered a codex within them that has alerted Null, voiced by the prior director Andy Serkis, father of the symbiotes, who was imprisoned by his children ages ago. Now he wants out and needs the codex to do it, so he sends a bunch of hunters that look like aliens from A Quiet Place to track Venom down. If he can let them out of this prison, why can't he just leave himself? I mean, it's probably a bad idea to think too deeply about this. This sets off a road trip of sorts as Eddie and Venom make their way cross-country, where they get into a series of misadventures that are comically hit or miss and involve Marvel actors playing entirely different characters. Rhys Ifans, who was the Lizard in Sony's Amazing Spider-Man movies, plays the patriarch of an alien-obsessed family eager to check out Area 51. Chiwetel Ejiofor, who plays Carl Mordo in the Doctor Strange movies, a kind of a big role, plays Rex Strickland, a stock, hard-ass military man in a covert operation to destroy the symbiotes. With Michelle Williams finally realizing she's got better shit to do than this, the major film role goes to Juno Temple as scientist Dr. Payne, whose fascination with the symbiote, caused by a past tragedy we really didn't need to know about, puts her at odds with Strickland. The highlight of this journey finds Venom leaping from animal to animal, a Venom horse, a Venom fish, and even a Venom frog, which would be cool if he had to fight Throg, the frog version of Thor. Most of these subplots amount to very little, as Marcel's scattered screenplay both attempts too much and nothing at all. There's just not a lot of inspiration here, and Marcel, whose biggest break was writing the painfully flat 50 Shades of Grey, just isn't a writer who does comedy very well. There are jokes that go absolutely nowhere, like a recurring gag about Eddie's footwear or the scientists named after Christmas. If there's a character who has been treated best throughout the franchise, it's probably San Francisco convenience store owner Mrs. Chen, played by Peggy Lou, who pops up here randomly in Las Vegas and waltzes the night away with Venom to the sounds of Dancing Queen. Meanwhile, Null doesn't really do anything but sit in a chair and sulk, making him the lamest Marvel villain ever. He'll reportedly have a bigger role down the line, but that's assuming there is a down the line after this. The final stretch does have one of the most exciting action sequences of the trilogy, with Venom and his symbiote brothers in a pitched war in Area 51 against Null's forces. Marcel and Hardy also attempt to inject some heart as Venom's story winds down. It's kinda hard not to get sentimental over this anti-hero Jekyll and Hyde duo, bad jokes aside, when they hit us with sappy flashbacks and Maroon 5's memories. They did an amazing job of getting the Venom character right and faithful to the comics. Hardy has spent a good chunk of his career as Eddie Brock, and it's clear he loves the freedom that playing him brings. While the comedy is often groan-worthy, we can't help but applaud Venom: The Last Dance for letting its freak flag fly right to the very end. Venom: The Last Dance is in theaters now, and it gets a 2.5 out of 5. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.